on Nera Capezzi. Ooh, I'm rocking. The ear witness who said that she'd heard a scream on November 1st and the sound of the two people running. Culiano noted that Nera's windows were double glazed. She didn't live close enough to the cottage to have heard anything important on November 1st, he claimed. When 48 Hours Mystery broadcast his report, it showed Culiano being snubbed by a frazzled Nera when he knocked on her door and said he was an American investigator. She acted rather daffy, but Frank Sforza called her a fake stupid, meaning that she didn't feel like sharing any knowledge with meaning, and she didn't feel like sharing any knowledge with Culiano, who had arrived after dark and had been overly polite. So Culiano was now forced to perform a listening test in the apartment above Nara's, which he claimed provided that she'd heard exactly what she said she did when it came to running, and in any case, she hadn't seen anything jolted down the time, and the runners couldn't have been anyone. Like Tacopina, Culiano was none too popular with Rudy Gaudet, since Culiano was more than happy to put the whole blame on him for the murder. Something new, sorry about that. Manini would simply delete from his next presentation. Got it. As if he had never used them in the first place. This was, for example, the infamous wine and mushroom party scenario, where Manini had used to explain why, even though she had eaten the mushrooms with her friends at that last dinner, Manini insisted in all probability Meredith must have eaten mushrooms with Amanda when she got home, since both girls were known to be fond of the fungi. He even managed to find premeditation, noting the box of champion mushrooms, like the one eaten by Meredith, were filmed by the forensic police in Sleceto's refrigerator. Yet Manini must have also known that there were mushrooms in the cottage refrigerator too, because the same forensic police had also photographed everything there was. Because the same forensic police had photographed everything as well. In fact, it looked as if Meredith had simply rolled back the plastic on the package of the mushrooms and eaten a few of them raw. On April 21st, 2008, the judges from Palazzo, the sinister name the Italians gave the Supreme Court, explained why they held up the arrests. They said that all three suspects had deviant personalities. Like Manini, had the judges described marijuana as if it was heroin, calling the trio habitual drug users. Amanda, they said, had reportedly contradicted herself and had a negative personality. The judge called the memorial scribbled right after her arrest a self-accusation that could be used against her in court. Later this spring, the extended Slecito family did everything they could to eliminate the bloody shoe print clue against Raphael. We have already demonstrated irrefutably that the bloody footprint near the body was not from his shoe, Francisco Slecito had announced. For once, he was not bluffing. The Sletito family, including Mara, Raffaelli's stepmother, his aunt Sarah, and his cousin, Anna Maria, started getting together every Saturday night to strategize their support for Raffaelli, whose innocence they never doubted. They'd known since November that the police find the blood on the soles of Raffaelli's shoes. Never the 21-year-old Anna Marie had come up with the clever idea of counting the measurements of circles on the sole of the bloody footprint using a compass. The footprint had 11. Raffaelli's Air Force One Nikes only had 7. An expert had hired Francisco Vinci. Knew that police had found an empty shoebox in Rudy's apartment that had once contained Nike Outbreak 2s. So Raffaelli's uncle Giuseppe went out and purchased the shoe model. The family was thrilled to see that the circles on the bottom of the brand matched the famed footprint, meaning Rudy had probably been the person who had hovered over Meredith's bed while she was dying. We had to defend the image of a good boy portrayed as a monster, Raffaelli's Aunt Sarah told Panorama, an Italian magazine. They rejoiced, she said. They found that the correct shoe. They thought it was all over. The girls were crying. My husband said that with his eyes to heaven, God exists. The new development forced Rudy to come clean. On May 15, 2008, in a face-to-face with prosecutor Manini, he finally admitted, I wore those shoes. The footprint is probably mine. He also admitted that he had dumped the bloody shoes in Germany, where he'd early admitted to discarding his bloody pants. If Edna Mellis had ever wondered if her arrival in Perugia on November 6 had anything to do with the timing of Amanda's all-night interrogation, the judge Claudia Mattini left her with no doubt. On May 16th, the merciless judge turned down the house arrest for Amanda, who had hoped to live with in orders of nuns in Umbria, who were allowed to shelter prisoners under supervised care, an option that had been granted for other murders or suspects. Your family lives in the United States, so it would be extremely easy for you to leave the country, Mattini wrote. The fact that you did not do so before you were arrested is totally irrelevant. We must remind you that your arrest was made very early and was effected purposefully before the arrival of your mother in order to avoid such a possibility. The judge also chided Amanda for not showing remorse for the crime the Seattle girl had said she had not committed. Mattini criticized her, as many Italians would as well, for having taken a shower after not noticing blood on the floor, for hauling a mop to Raffaelli's house, and even for eating breakfast before finally sounding the alarm about the blood. If by chance Amanda was resting easy in her cell, police also let her know that her footprints had been found in the hallway of the cottage, a natural enough occurrence, except the police gave the press the impression that the footprints were bloody in court. It would turn out that the scientific police had never tested the footprints for blood, nor had they measured Philomena or Laura's feet to see if the prints could be theirs. It was all meaningless. At the closed hearing on April 19th, the 3 independent experts appointed by Judge Mattini testified. They confirmed the findings from the coroner Lawley's report, saying they couldn't prove sexual violence accurately determine time of death or show that more than one person had been involved in the killing. As for the knife, they said it was not incompatible, a phrase that in the Italian system means we don't know. Peace settled over Perugia for a little while the Giuliani Manini closed the investigation in June 2008, boasting that he'd assembled a case file for more than 10,000 pages long, a total that sounded more impressive than it really was, since it included Raffaelle's prosaic blog, Amanda's prison diary, and her MySpace and Facebook pages. Then the court went into recess as per Italian custom for the entire month of August, during which the defendants languished in non-air-conditioned prisons. Until September pre-trial, Amanda Knox turned 21 in September that summer, which in America would have meant she could have gotten into bars for the first time. She probably would have celebrated by dancing in the discos until dawn, like a typical Seattle girl, with good friends helping her to capture once-in-a-lifetime night. Amanda's mother did wish her happy birthday in a Capini visitor room, while Raffaele sent her yellow flowers. The temper tantrum, but her family said that was ridiculous. She already knew that the cakes would not be allowed.